William Shakespeare was born on April 23, 1564. He was born in Stratford-upon-Avon, England. He is the son of Richard Shakespeare and Mary Arden. He had 7 siblings: Joanne, Margaret, Gilbert, Joanne II, Anne, Richard, and Edmund. He was baptized just 3 days after he was born. He also died 52 years later on his birthday. William married Anne Hathaway when he was 18 and she was just 26. She was also pregnant when they got married and had their first daughter 6 months after they got married. Her name was Susanna. 2 years after Susanna was born, Anne was pregnant with twins named Judith and Hamnet. Hamnet died at age 11 from unknown causes. William's only granddaughter also died from unknown causes. Therefore, there are no descendants from his family. Shakespeare affected history today because nowadays English scholars aren't as important as William Shakespeare. They also aren't as popular as they used to be. It is important for scholars of English literature to use some studies of literature such as Shakespeare, a true classic. A solid education in English must have a strong foundation in both modern and classical literature. The in-depth study of Shakespeare's works would more than satisfy, it would also entertain. Shakespeare was not only so accomplished in his writing skills, but also he had become highlight in history of literature. Most of his works were written on such a basic human theme that they will always be enjoyable and will never grow old. William Shakespeare has become a major component of English literature. To understand why he and his writing are so important to study at a young age, consider an analogy. To understand the Constitution, a 2-year-old document we still use today, one must be familiar with the conditions of colonial America. In the same way, you must be familiar with the early days of English literature in order to comprehend literature's basis. Shakespeare's influence is still seen clearly in many ways. For example, Shakespeare helped us, the modern world, to evolve dramas and plays to current productions. He was also one of the first writers to use any modern prose in his writings. In fact, the growth of prose in Shakespeare's time is clearly shown as he used prose progressively more throughout his career. Furthermore, there can be no doubt that Shakespeare was a master of literature in the English language. His writings consist of much fluidity, with thought, rhythm, word, and sound of his work just flowed. Even an unexperienced reader could follow along. Often a single line would have several meanings, each providing us with insight into a character or plot. There is no doubt that a substantial knowledge of the works of William Shakespeare is necessary for any education of English literature. The extraordinary writing skills with which Shakespeare created cannot be compared to any other writer. A creature cannot possibly survive incomplete in the same way literature cannot survive without William Shakespeare.